Blame me if I don't love you. But is it that easy? Hang on, because what I have to tell you will leave you speechless. Hello, all. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Natasha, and you're watching TLC's Wives Show. Before we get started on today's story, be sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. You won't want to miss what's about to come next. Now, let's get into it. Following the recent episode of Sister Wives Season 19, Cody Brown, yes, the show's focal point, is in serious hot water, not only from the audience, but even from his own family. And trust me, things took a heartbreaking turn this week. Here's how this episode is more relevant than ever. Next up will be the tragic death of Garrison Brown and his funeral. But what's catching headlines is not just the mourning. It's what went down behind the scenes. Reports indicate that Cody supposedly took TLC cameras to Garrison's National Guard funeral, getting outraged for what many are deeming an exploitative act. Follow me, because the tale gets deeper. With the untimely death of Garrison, Cody's already strained relationship with his kids allegedly disintegrated further. Social media didn't take long to catch up on the drama. Popular commentator Michael T. revealed how the bond between Cody and his children had been deteriorating way before this tragedy. Ever since his breakups with Janelle, Christine, and Mary, Cody's relationship with his elder children had been strained. But Garrison's death appears to have driven it over the edge. And here's where it becomes even more disturbing. As insider reports have it, at Cody's father's funeral, Cody supposedly made an out-of-sorts request of one of the organizers of the event. It has been reported that he had a desire to bring his son's remains home for a private interment. This discovery, coupled with the rumors of bringing TLC cameras to such a sensitive, intimate moment, has left both fans and family members stunned. One of the most popular reality TV bloggers recently revealed these claims, quoting a first-hand source from the funeral itself. If these are true, it begs some serious questions about Cody's priorities and whether or not the line between reality television and real life has been blurred in the worst possible way. But here's the thing. This is just the beginning. More information is slowly surfacing, and insiders claim there's much more about what went down at that funeral and in the aftermath. Could this explain why Cody has been isolating himself from his family even more since the incident? Be sure to stick around, because in the following video, I'm going to be analyzing what those around the Brown family are saying about what happened after this tragic incident, and believe me, you don't want to miss what's next. If you like this video informative, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you're the first to know when we release the next update. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. And just when you think it can't get worse, it does. Cody Brown was the only one, according to a trusted source familiar with the family, who pushed for the TLC film crew to be present at his son's funeral and cremation. Yes, you read that correctly. While the whole family wished to mourn in private, Cody apparently was set on making this most intimate moment yet another episode for the cameras. And wait until you hear what followed. The same informant reported that something profoundly disturbing occurred at the burial service. Something so serious that it repeated what Michael T. warned of a year earlier. What happened was the last straw for most of the family members, compelling them to sever ties altogether with Cody and Robin Brown. Here's the alarming twist. As the source explains, Cody's intention was to capture the funeral on camera for TLC, pretending it was for Garrison. But Janelle's family members weren't on board with that. One of them contacted Cody directly, asking him and Robin to avoid the service entirely and ensure nothing was filmed. Why? They thought that the continual emotional stress and abuse Garrison faced from Cody and Robin had a profound negative effect on his mental state. And yet, despite the request, Cody and Robin attended. Not only did they turn up unbidden, but the worst of it was that Cody allegedly came equipped with cameras. Yes, cameras. To his own son's funeral. Family members were left shocked and bitterly hurt. The mood of the whole ceremony was altered the minute Cody and Robin arrived. They came like stars, escorted by photographers, totally ignoring the vulnerable emotional well-being of the bereaved. It was apparent, the insider said, that they had been already mic'd up and arrived fully equipped to capture the day for television, a decision which left everyone agog. And here's the most tragic thing of all. Garrison himself had criticized his discomfort with the reality show prior to his death. In his last text message, he allegedly said that he didn't want to be used or taken advantage of by Cody. Unfortunately, it looks like his will was disregarded in the worst manner possible. Cody's conduct at the funeral has only reaffirmed what most family members and fans have believed for years now, that his fixation on the show and himself comes first, even when faced with unimaginable tragedy. But this story isn't over. In the next video, I'll be uncovering what the rest of the Brown family had to say about this incident and the lasting impact it's having on the family's future. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button, tap the notification bell, and give this video a like if you're interested in being kept up to speed with this developing story. And just when you suspected things couldn't get any more complicated, there's still another jaw-dropping twist in the Brown family saga. Here's a legal bombshell. Since Cody Brown was not named as Garrison's father on the birth certificate, he would not have been able to legally bury his son, even if he had received Garrison's ashes. Can you believe that? It's hard to imagine. But new reports bring even more shocking news. In a shocking expose, a blogger posted insider details that would turn everything we thought we knew about the case on its head. What their sources tell them is that there's more to this case than meets the eye. And it doesn't stop with Garrison's death. But wait, there's more. While all of this drama was going on, another Brown family member's life took a surprising turn. Audrey Chris, Leon Brown's girlfriend, has been at the center of a horrific accident. What occurred? Let's take a closer look. For those who may not know, Leon Brown is Mary Brown, one of the Sister Wives stars, transgender child. Since he came out, Leon has been really active online, updating his followers on his life and advocating for the transgender community. Back in October 29th, 2022, Leon married Audrey, and since then, he has posted about glimpses of his married life on the internet. But then, they fell silent. The couple ceased to post, and fans and followers were left wondering what was happening behind closed doors. That is, until Audrey surprised everyone by coming back on social media to share about a tragic accident that altered their lives. So what did happen? Let's dissect it. Audrey shared fresh photos with Leon, discussing what they had done lately, such as having quality time with friends and volunteering at a neighborhood bookshop. But something was off that everyone couldn't help but notice. Audrey was on crutches. So what's the full story behind this accident, and how is Leon coping with everything? Keep watching, because I'll be diving into all the details in just a moment. But here's something you didn't see coming. While the pair might have been leading a somewhat low-key life in Denver with dogs and spending time with each other, this accident left everyone with so many questions still. What on earth happened to Audrey, and how is that impacting their dynamics with the Brown family? Watch this space, because there is so much more to this saga than you're going to want to know. It's still not clear when Audrey got hurt, but when fans on Instagram began asking, Audrey didn't hesitate to give the scoop. In the comments, she wrote, "I ruptured my Achilles tendon playing soccer." Ouch. For those who don't know, healing from an Achilles rupture can take around 4 to 6 months, depending on the severity of the injury. So it appears that Audrey's recovery will be a long one. After a long hiatus from social media, the couple's return was received with a tide of support. Fans were excited to have Audrey and Leon back online. Most jumped to the comments, showing their relief and appreciation for the couple. One fan stated, "Leon looks a lot like their brothers Gabe, XX, and Hunter. I hope you get well soon." Another fan posted, "I love seeing you two so happy and content." But the support didn't stop there. One commenter shared a personal story saying, "I've had 3 surgeries and tore my Achilles twice. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Best wishes for a speedy recovery." And then, of course, there was the advice, "Watch out for the knee scooter. I had one, lost my balance, and ended up injuring my other leg. Don't ask me how. Suddenly, both legs were in casts." But the tale doesn't end with Audrey's accident. There's still so much more happening in Leon's life. In fact, just recently, Leon posted on Instagram a very poignant message regarding their loss. The passing of their brother, Garrison, has obviously left an emotional scar. Leon posted a heartfelt remark regarding how terrible 2024 has been for them. After the death of Garrison, sorrow became the main course of my life, Leon related. But with all this agony, there have been moments of brightness. Leon discussed how they've re-met individuals with whom they would never have assumed they would engage again. The reminder of power healing through humanity. Leon continued, I'm definitely taking it slow, but I'm trying to find strength in these tough experiences. Let's hope for more genuine community care, mutual support, and abundance in our lives. It's clear that despite the heartache, Leon is holding on to hope and healing, valuing those around them even more than before. The weight of sorrow and the struggle for understanding. In this quiet town where Garrison was buried, a town supposed to be full of peace and harmony, the atmosphere was heavy with sorrow. What was to be a quiet, reverent goodbye became so much more worse. The town united to grieve for the death of a young man, a life gone before its time. But what had started out as an experience of communal bereavement very quickly turned into something far blacker. Garrison was once the shining star of a broken-up family, the light in a darkness. Now his death becomes the setting of a much grimier story. The figure at the eye of this hurricane, once the self-styled head of the household, a man who dreamed of harmony, has now been reduced to being the focus of widespread scrutiny. Particularly in the aftermath of such disaster, his troubled relationships with his children have been the focus of gossip and raised eyebrows. As he walked up to the funeral, apprehension tended to attend every step. A solemn, respectful approach was quickly turned into something far worse. Whispers filled the air, and those quickly became vocalized indignation when everyone learned that Cody Brown, grieving as he was not only there to pay his respects, he brought cameras. Right, cameras at his own son's funeral. The same cameras that have been documenting the Brown family for years, now recording one of the most emotionally intense moments in the Sister Wives franchise. Viewers were already anticipating a tearful episode based on the loss of a cherished family member. But few were ready for the bombshell that this very intimate sorrow might have been used for the purposes of public entertainment. The Brown family has been rent asunder by internal conflict for years. A once proud father now stands at the epicenter of this tempest, witnessing his bonds with his children disintegrate. And with Garrison's passing, this one-time close-knit family now stands divided, with suspicion and grief hanging heavy in the atmosphere. The Brown family's emotional rift only intensified as the days went by, when solid bonds with other women in Cody's life disintegrated, and now the pain of losing one of his sons only contributed to the mounting tension. What was once a family bound together by love was now a broken, emotionally detached family. Supporters of Cody who once rallied around him started to back away, with many citing emotional neglect and favoritism as the causes of their increasing detachment. Months prior to Garrison's funeral, one of Cody's grown-up daughters went on social media and spoke out. In a straight-talking, unfiltered posting, she spoke of the increasing emotional distance growing between herself and the man whom she had previously referred to as Dad. She continued to assert that Garrison's death had acted as a catalyst, a period that amplified the fissures within the family. Now, the Brown family appeared to be split into two different worlds, and the tragedy served to underscore the emotional distance that had existed for so long. Whereas mourning could have been an opportunity for healing and reconciliation, what followed served only to compound the pain. Those in the know provided disturbing information about the pre-funeral days. A source asserted that Cody had demanded that he be the one to return the body of his son home and make the final arrangements. This could have appeared on the surface as a delicate paternal move. The source ensured, however, that his real motives were shrouded in something very sinister. Cody's request to have the family's TV crew cover the funeral was a disputed move. This was not a bid to honor his son or pay respect to the filmmaking craft. It was something more. And as one can bet, there was a lot of opposition. Garrison's mother's family, those closest to him, were insistent that the funeral remain private. They were not seeking a spectacle. They were grieving a personal loss. They asserted that no cameras belonged among the mourners. However, in spite of their protests, Cody and Robin appeared at the service with a film crew behind them. The invasion was obvious, and many were left shocked. Bringing cameras to such a delicate moment only served to make the pain worse and leave a sour taste in the mouths of those who had wanted a moment of peace. In spite of many pleas for privacy, the day had already become tragically surreal. The change in mood was instantaneous and unmistakable. Guests, who had attended to pay their respects, found themselves having to work their way around production assistants and boom mics. Cody, it seemed, had arrived fully prepared for an episode of the reality show. A microphone attached to his shirt was a harsh reminder that this was not merely a family funeral. It was another TV event. The atmosphere in the room changed in an instant. Where there ought to have been somber respect, tension reigned. Discussions that ought to have revolved around the recollections of a young man's kindness and resilience started collapsing, becoming murmurs of abuse and exploitation. The presence of cameras appeared to drown out the mourning. For others, it seemed as if the very act of mourning had been tainted. What ought to have been a hallowed moment had become a farce before the cameras. But maybe the bitterest blow for everyone there was the knowledge of Garrison's attitude towards the show that had brought his family fame. In his final messages, he had been scornful of the series that had aired their private lives for decades. He had grown tired a long time ago of being filmed, examined, and analyzed by the public gaze. What he had desired was peace, life away from the camera. He had even stated that he did not wish his words to be included in a TV show. He craved privacy, a plea that appeared to be blatantly disregarded now that he was dead. Reports indicate that Garrison's mother, always so defensively protective of her children, was grief-stricken at what had occurred. Just prior to the funeral, one of Cody's family members reportedly approached him and told him not to come if his plan was to make the service another television shoot. It wasn't just Cody who was asked to forego attendance, however. An invitation was made for his companion as well. The family did not need television cameras at such a moment. Their sorrow didn't need to be broadcast. Not even the family's appeal for respect and privacy stopped Cody and Robin from appearing at the funeral. Ignoring the request, by all accounts, they didn't act like mourners, but as people who viewed themselves as the main actors in the unfolding drama. This could have very well been part of their reality show to them, just another episode in their own personal soap opera. However, to everyone else present, it felt like a desecration of the moment, an invasion of a sacred occasion meant for mourning. Witnesses say that Cody and Robin's actions were jarring and deeply offensive to the family. The presence of the camera crew only made things worse. The two were described as being loud, overly cheerful, and bearing themselves with a disturbing detachment. They seemed to be observers of other people's pain, just present to witness other people's sorrow while they went on with their own story. The tension between them and the rest who were actually grieving was so obvious. The division within the family was not new. Lots of people had witnessed over the years the increasing distance between Cody and his older kids, and his close association with Robin just fueled the divide. His erstwhile supporters felt abandoned when he ceased offering emotional and material support after his multiple relationships ended. He was once a champion of oneness, equity, and collective responsibility, but what he had done of late was diametrically opposite to these values. These opposites were revealed at the funeral. Rather than appearing as a distraught father, Cody seemed more concerned with maintaining his own reputation than with the real loss of his son. His arrival with the movie crew was viewed by many not as a mere error, but as a betrayal of all that the family had previously held in esteem. And things only got more complicated when it was discovered after the funeral that legal documents had been found, showing that Cody had never been officially listed on Garrison's birth certificate. This shocked many, as it greatly questioned his right to be part of the burial, even though he had been given his son's remains. In spite of the technicality that would have kept him from making any final arrangements, Cody inserted himself into all areas of the funeral arrangements. His presence, however, only intensified the wound for those who had made it explicitly clear they desired privacy. The maternal family members, determined to mourn in solitude, still stood by each other, finding comfort in mutual grief. Their appeal to be left alone in remembrance of their loved one had been dismissed, and it only served to spark the widening criticism. More people learning of what was taking place at the funeral only deepened the backlash. What initially began as general curiosity about the story of the family was soon converting into indignation. Supporters, who once tuned in respectfully, now set about the internet, voicing disappointment and indignation. Comments poured in on social media, with many blaming the funeral for being hijacked into nothing but a show for the cameras. People started wondering how far one would go to advance a narrative, even at the cost of the deceased's wishes. The younger brothers, several of whom had spoken out quietly but were greatly disturbed in private, bore the emotional brunt of the whole thing. One insider revealed that even those who had previously supported their father were starting to change their minds. That which had previously been lost trust was now completely shattered. The reputation of the family, which had already been on a knife edge, had been dealt yet another body blow. After the airing of the offending episode, the producers of the show remained eerily quiet. No word was released, no apology offered. This quiet only served to add fuel to the suspicion growing that the choices made in the lead-up to the filming of the funeral had been deliberate, not errors. Ratings had always been a key motivator behind the series' choices, after all. The price of those ratings, though, was beginning to reveal itself. Once such a family that professed to hold love above all else, they now stood to reap the consequences of their irreparable deeds. The widening gulf was no longer one that could be reconciled. The gravity of the situation was evident. The repercussions of having used tragedy for entertainment were far-reaching. The family was then left to clean up the remains of what used to be a close-knit family, forever tainted by decisions made in the name of fame and gain. Back when Audrey, Leon's girlfriend, suddenly re-emerged on social media following their long hiatus. Her post was not an announcement about her life. It showed that she had been severely injured. Fans, who had grown used to the couple's absence, were shocked by the news and flooded the comment section with messages of support. Audrey shared that she had ruptured her Achilles tendon while playing soccer, a painful injury that would require months of recovery. The unexpected nature of her post sparked even more curiosity, with many wondering what had kept the couple out of the spotlight. The quiet period had already been questioned. The fans had become worried about the couple's health, particularly because they had been so active on social media previously. Audrey's return to Instagram, coupled with the news of her injury, appeared to answer some questions, but it also created a new chapter of questions. What was happening behind the scenes? Why had they been gone for so long? The shift in their internet behavior had people speculating. Audrey's fans were quick to offer their sympathy to the couple's followers, with some of them posting their own experiences of coping with the same injuries. The comments were full of supportive messages and tips on how to get better, and many were relieved to hear from Audrey again. Others even posted their own accounts of Achilles tendon ruptures, illustrating just how relatable Audrey's story was to others. Of these encouraging comments, a few were especially touching, with fans wishing Audrey well and sending love to the couple during this challenging time. Yet, even with the positive messages, there was still an aura of mystery around the couple. Why had they remained silent? And how would Audrey's injury affect their lives from then on? Fans were keen to know, as they anticipated an update that would reveal the underlying details of Audrey and Leon's relationship and personal challenges. Also joined in with sincere messages, sending out words of encouragement and solace. One fan even confessed a personal experience saying, "I had 3 surgeries and tore my Achilles twice. Trust me, it's no easy road, but I'm wishing you the fastest recovery." The love responses of the couple's followers represented how well Audrey and Leon had bonded with their followers. As the weeks passed, the couple received a continuous flow of affirming messages. Audrey's accident, as painful as it was, only seemed to strengthen their connection and relationship with their fans. Folks praised them for their gender rights advocacy, as well as their promotion of small businesses, which had struck such a chord among so many. These parts of their life made the couple feel more down to earth and accessible despite their fame. It was apparent that Audrey and Leon's relationship with their fans was more than that of celebrity and fan. It was one of real connection, based on mutual support, shared values, and compassion. Fans weren't merely following the pair for fame's sake, they were following them because they believed in the causes for which they campaigned and the lifestyle they adopted. Amidst all these upbeat messages, the couple's silence from the limelight for months earlier left behind a lingering aura of curiosity. What had driven them into their silence? Was something more remarkable going on in their lives? Or was it just the usual ebb and flow of their hectic schedules? Although Audrey's injury gave some insight, There were still questions regarding what had been happening behind the scenes while they were away from social media. Audrey's post also brought to light the challenges of recovering from a serious injury, particularly one such as a ruptured Achilles tendon, which takes months to rehabilitate. As fans flooded in with their own stories, it was clear that Audrey's openness in sharing her recovery process only made the bond between the couple and their fans stronger. As all these individuals gathered behind Audrey and Leon, the couple's stay away from social media was at last tolerated. The audience found it agreeable that the couple had spent that time away on recovery, and their re-entry into the display of their life was welcome progress. The experience of Audrey, along with her upbeat attitude toward the recovery period, established that with enough strength and unity from their people and family members, the individual could emerge more resilient. Leon's authenticity resonated with their fans. Lots of people could identify with the message regarding the intricacy of sorrow, how it isn't straightforward, how it pushes you away from individuals at times and then surprises you by bringing you back to them, and how it shatters you while showing you hidden resilience. The comment section was full of sincere messages, people expressing gratitude to Leon for giving words to feelings they'd struggled with for so long. One of the supporters commented, "Thank you for reminding us, okay, to not be okay, and healing can be different for everyone." The other said, "Your willingness to share your grief makes others like me feel a little less alone." Amidst the heartbreak, both Leon and Audrey's stories reflected resilience and the importance of community support, whether from friends, family, or complete strangers online. Together, they showed how life's hardships, though deeply painful, can offer opportunities to reflect, reconnect, and rebuild. Their continuing journey transcended the individual. It transcended to a source of hope for others walking through loss, recovery, and identity in a world that all too often loses sight of the power of genuine, unpolished human connection. By opting to share the stunning and the shattered pieces of their life, Leon and Audrey reminded their listeners of something enduring, that love, compassion, and shared grief tie us together in ways that fame and spectacle cannot. That's a beautifully earnest and full account. It reads like the ideal ending for a YouTube video transcript or a blog post looking back at Leon and Audrey's recent adventure. It weighs real-life sadness, strength, and the importance of neighborhood in a way that is both personal and all-around understandable. If you want, I can tidy this up into a tidy final video script draft with intro, outro, and pacing recommendations. Or set it out as a blog post or Instagram caption series. Do you want it formatted into one of those? Or perhaps even a voiceover script format for your video material? 40.